Good morning, everybody. Well, we hear Frankie tell us about these heat alerts that are already happening. It is so hot, tough for people with respiratory issues. Do you find you're extra sensitive to the sun these days? What might be contributing to that? Here with some answers is Dr. Julia Carroll, dermatologist. Good to see you, Dr. Julia. First of all, if people are thinking, hey, this might be me, how do you know if you are sensitive to the sun? What are some of the symptoms? What does it look like?
Well, the most classic thing is that you just tend to burn more than other people. So you'll be out in the sun for what you think is an okay amount of time, and you probably have sunscreen on, but still at the end of the day, you get a bad sunburn. Otherwise, sometimes it can actually look like a rash where you'll get blisters, redness, or even a type of hives.
Now, it's interesting because there's a lot of foods that are very healthy that could actually be making you more susceptible to developing a sensitivity. So what are some of those foods?
So some of the foods are citruses, so it tends to be lemons and limes. You can also see it with celery and as well figs. But the classic thing that happens is what we call the margarita or the corona rash, where you take the lime, you put it into your beverage, and then you'll have a hand that has lime juice on it. You're in your bathing suit, you wipe it on your pants or your other hand, and then a few days later, you'll get this rash.
So is that because it sort of like acidifies it? Something like that?
There is a chemical reaction between the ultraviolet light and the citrus product, and it just makes that super sensitivity to the sunlight.
So what do we do to remedy all this?
Well, I think a lot of it is just being aware of it. So if you know that you can react with sunlight and citrus, and say you're a bartender or you're hosting a backyard party, then just make sure you're washing that juice off, because dark marks can last for months and months afterwards.
And I know there's a lot of people that use things like retinols or certain like acid peels on their face at night. That makes you extremely sensitive to the sun in the morning. So you certainly shouldn't be using them before you head out the door. What are some other tips?
Well, you can't use them when you have the door, because it's not that right at the time it makes you sensitive. It's that generally the use of them makes your skin sensitive. So just make sure that you're protecting yourself from the sun and avoiding direct sunlight. So you just want to use lots of sunscreen and hats.
So, for example, before you leave the door, some people apply their sunscreen right away and think they're covered, but you should actually do it at least 20 minutes prior to leaving the door and receiving that sun exposure, right?
That's what's on the label, but in reality, if you put sunscreen on and you walk out the door, with our modern day sunscreens, you are actually covered. So I would never want someone to think that it's too late to put it on. It's never too late to put it on.
And don't forget your scalp and to reapply. A lot of people are outside enjoying this weather. Perhaps they're taking a dip in a pool or the beach, or they're sweating, they're cycling. How often should you be reapplying?
So you want to reapply every 2 hours. And also, if you sweat or if you get wet, and the scalp is an excellent point. A lot of people, I think, forget that. They'll take their hat off to go swimming. So spray sunscreens are fantastic for getting those little areas on the scalp.
I was going to say, how do you feel spray versus the actual lotions or any other forms? Are they all created equal? Sometimes you hear about just wasting your money because the sprays just go into the air if it's a windy day.
Right. Well, I think when you look at the label on the spray sunscreen, it actually says you're supposed to spray it in your hand and then apply it on your body. Now, I'm a mom of a 10-year-old, and I have to say I don't always get to that point. But what I like to do is use a cream sunscreen in the morning, cover everyone from head to toe, and then use touch-ups with the spray sunscreen.
Fantastic. And where do we find more information? This was all great.
Dermatology.ca is a Canadian dermatology website, and they have amazing information on sunscreens, melanomas, different reactions that you can get, and how to find a dermatologist.
That's another thing. If you notice anything funky on your skin, go get it checked out, or at least send them a picture. Anything will help at this point, right? To monitor your own skin and look at each other's backs and everything else that you can't see.
The earlier we can get to skin cancer, the better it is.
Okay, thank you so much. Good to see you. Stay safe. Practice safe sun, everybody. We'll be back with more BT right after this.